You're listening to another episode of Mr. Allard's Neighborhood. This is the place where you're entitled to Brad's opinion. And now for your host, Brad Allard.
Adopted. Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table. The office of Speaker of the House of the United States House of Representatives is hereby declared vacant.
Okay, that's good. I just want to have that nice dramatic entrance there. Well, it's been a full week. I'm a little bit discombobulated today. My beloved bride is a little sickly, so if you want to send her a text, just have her get better, then it'd be great. But anyway, it's nothing serious, just another cold, but still, it's unpleasant. But anyway, we're going to try to unwrap all the stuff we had about over the speaker being kicked out last Tuesday. That's the first time in our history that's ever happened. So you were alive to see it. History being made right in front of your very eyes. And I was watching it live on the news as it happened. And I'm not really surprised. I wasn't surprised at the outcome. But I think this is something new, even for me, the old professor who's been studying this and reading about this most of his adult life. And people got to have people text me, or a couple of buddies would call or whatever. Or I had a couple of kids in my class yesterday. What's going to happen next on this deal? Because not that they were panicking or anything like that. They just were curious. This is something that they had never really experienced before. So what's going to be going forward? And the answer is, I wish I knew. I wish they knew. I bet they would say the same thing. I wish we knew. But it doesn't really lend itself to easy answers. And so I'm going to try to go through it as best I can. I got a couple of news clips. I got a couple of photos, things of that nature. So I'm going to do what I can. But as far as having the answer, well, they don't call me down there from D.C. They think they know all the answers anyway. But I tell you who do know the answers, and that's our sponsors. So let's talk about them. Thank you, CrossFit Burleson, 317 Southwest Wilshire. Over at right behind the Stone Soup Cafe and the dry cleaners, you know where it's at. It's a great place. Oops, I'm sorry. I'm trying to do this sharing thing, and the Facebook is all messed up. I'm a little bit discombobulated as well. Anyway, 317 Southwest Wilshire. Check out their webpage. Check out what they got going on. They have plans. They have programs, they have training, they have supervision, so they have the whole thing. It's a great place to go. So there you go. Also, thank you to Shandy Stogsdill, the Stogsdill Group. I hope we have you on the show pretty soon. I know she's closing a house, I think today, so that's a good thing because you hear a lot about what's going on. And the Stogsdill Group is still very, very active, even though you read in the papers about the raids and all this other stuff going on. We're still selling homes in Burleson, at least, and so she's very much in the middle of that. So if you're looking to move in and around this area, go to there. Go to her. She will be able to get you through it. Also, thank you to Otto. Get yourself a decent meal of comfort food. It's good weather for it now. You could finally have some decent weather to have some of that soup he's so well known for. I really like the taco soup. What's your favorite soup over there, Taylor?
You know what?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I haven't been there in a while.
Oh. Okay, now you know what you need to be doing.
I do know.
Okay, yeah. No, I like the taco soup. And also, it's just a good place to go and enjoy company. Good place, good service, good atmosphere. So go to our place if you want to spend some quality time.
You usually just get French toast.
French toast, you like that? Well,
and coffee.
Well, my numbers can't handle that, but still. I usually get the breakfast, but if I'm having lunch, I like the chicken fried steak. And if you get the regular size one, it's about the size of a manhole cover. And I used to get the half portion, which is plenty for an old man like me. Also, thank you over at Wild Cigar and Culture. Go get yourself a decent drink, a decent smoke, do some business. When I go over there in the afternoon, sometimes they got people that are working. They got people on their laptops and stuff like that conducting business. And I thought, man, that's the way to do business. Over a cigar and a decent drink and in a good atmosphere. So check out Wild Cigar. If you want to have a group meeting, they have a conference room over there that you can use. So there you go. Also, thank you to Tiffany. Local Life magazine is out. It should be in your box or in your home right now. It goes to 30,000 homes. It goes to a lot of businesses as well. At 30,000 homes, that's you think about that. You're trying to directly market to the people of this area Burleson, Joshua, and Crowley, and it's right there at the doorstep. So there you go with local life. Also, Burleson Buzz, they came out with an article just this morning, at least I saw it this morning in my inbox, about latest city council meeting and what they're going to be doing with that old abandoned China King location. You hear about that, Taylor?
I did.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to miss Jose's. You know, that Jose's was there when I moved in, and I didn't care for it at all. And then they moved to China King, and I don't know if I've ever been there. I like Chinese food, but I don't know. I heard stories. So anyway, but they're going to do something with it. I'm sure some developer will take it over and do something with it. And when we have Victoria on in about 2 weeks, I'll ask her about that and about that space on Renfro where the old church was, where Hill College was, and see if there's been any movement on that. Okay. If you would put up the Gates and McCarthy photo, if you would, there, Taylor. These are the two gentlemen in question here. These on the left is Matt Gaetz, on the right is Kevin McCarthy. Most of you already know that, but it's going to be hard for me to discuss Mr. Gaetz in a very objective way because he is, I think, one of the most disruptive and self-centered and self-interested elements the United States Congress has ever produced, and that's saying something. People look back and say, this has got to be the worst Congress ever. Well, no, I mean, historically, if you want to go back a ways, like the 1850s or the Gilded Age, I mean, we had some real cretins in Congress then, too, particularly in the Gilded Age. Back in the 1850s, it came equipped with guns and knives to come to the floor. So, we've had periods of this before. Just we as a people have never seen it so in our face like this before. And that's what makes it so much different, I think, is that we have so much more access to what's going on that we think that this is the worst it's ever been. Now, that being said, it's pretty bad. It's very bad. In my adult studies of the U.S. Congress, when I do my reading or prepare for class or whatever else, we have gone through maybe episodes of intense polarization, but this has been a long and sustained period of polarization for about the last 15 years. And our country is not the better for it. We are definitely, as a people, as a government, as a society, suffering from the fact that our U.S. Congress is so dysfunctional that many and all the critical things that we need for our government to do are not being done as well or at all because of this. Now, that being said, what's all with this whole beef about? I guess you're going to have to go back to January when the first speaker election was being held. Every 2 years, we have a new term of Congress. Every 2 years, it's called a term. Every year, it's called a session, just to be clear. But every 2 years, they go through the process of electing the leaders of the House and the Senate. Normally, these things are already done in December when the two groups get together at some resort or something like that, go to some hotel in Virginia or some camp in Pennsylvania or something like that. They'll get together and they'll hash all this out there. So when they come on the first day of January, which not January 1st, but their opening day, the first Tuesday in January, all this is already worked out. And so you don't see all this drama. All the drama was done a month earlier, but the Republicans anyway, did not leave their caucus convention unified at all. And so it took 15 votes to get Mr. McCarthy elected. I'd never seen that before. I'd never seen him go to the second vote. And eventually McCarthy's going to make so many concessions to Gaetz personally and that crew of his, the Freedom Caucus, as they're called, but mostly this core group of about 8. He made a lot of concessions to get that job. And there's no way that this could have been avoided. Matt Gaetz set this up to fail 9 months ago. There's no chance that Mr. Gaetz would ever have been satisfied with Mr. McCarthy's performance. That he's been waiting to do this the whole time. McCarthy understands that sometimes you have to deal with the other side to get things done. Gaetz understands he didn't care for it, but he also just was waiting for this opportunity. One of the biggest concessions is that it would only take one member of the House to bring up a vote to remove the speaker, a motion to vacate, as we all been educated this past week. Normally, it took a much larger group to do that. And you couldn't really do it without the will of the majority party behind it. Just for clarification, the Speaker of the House does not have to be a member of the House of Representatives. That's why you hear all this blather about, Donald Trump saying, "Oh, I've been asked by lots and lots of people to be Speaker of the House." Well, we'll get to that later. But the majority party is who puts them there, and it's always a member of their own party, of course. And so, but to remove the Speaker, you'd have to have a lot more than just one person to put that motion on the table. Well, because the Republicans' majority is so narrow, and because McCarthy basically bargained away that protection, Matt Gaetz could, at any time he wanted to, do this. And he knew all he needed was 5 Republican no votes, and McCarthy's out. This was inevitable. No, I don't consider myself the all-seeing, powerful wizard that knows all this stuff. I knew back in January, knowing that character of Matt Gaetz, or lack thereof, that this was just a time bomb waiting to happen. And the first time that McCarthy stepped out of Matt Gaetz' good graces, then we going through this. I'm surprised it lasted this long, actually. Now, other parts that made this inevitable as well is that McCarthy broke a lot of promises. Now, I want to be really clear about this. McCarthy brought some of this on himself, but my overall position is it didn't matter if Kevin McCarthy was the best Speaker of the House we ever had. Matt Gaetz is going to do this because Matt Gaetz is a self-centered and egocentric attention hog, that this was going to happen. However, on the other side of the question about Mr. McCarthy, he made promises not just to Gaetz and crew, but other Republicans, but also to the Democrats to help him get some things passed, and he reneged on some of those deals. And that was a big problem with the Democrats. And a lot of people ask, why didn't the Democrats not support Mr. McCarthy? Because don't they understand how serious this is? And then my question is, first of all, the Democrats are just as political as the Republicans, and they see the Republicans in disarray as to their advantage, both now and next year's elections. But also the fact is they had the same opinion of Mr. McCarthy in many areas. Many of the Democrats are very angry with him for help. Their help, they got the debt limit raised, and they got the CR passed, continuing resolution passed Saturday, and then he reneged on certain deals and certain inclusions in bills and certain opportunities for them to present bills. Plus, they were mad at him about the Biden impeachment inquiry, who they all think is just a bunch of hogwash, which that's another topic altogether. But the Democrats think it's all bogus. And so they were mad at him already. So they didn't step up one person to vote. All he needed was 5 or 6 Democrats, and there you go. But McCarthy had such poor relations with the other party that that wasn't going to happen. And so you read the commentaries. It's interesting because a lot of the people, well, first of all, universally, Matt Gaetz is scorned by both sides of the aisle, and both liberal and conservative pundits, publishers, etc. All the columnists think Matt Gaetz is just a horrific, terrible person. But there's a lot of them also that said, but Mr. McCarthy's no saint. He did not run the Speaker of the House as impartial as they would have wished. Now you say, wait, what about Nancy Pelosi? Did she run it in an impartial fashion as well? No, but we're not talking about consistency on the part of the pundits. We're talking about what they're saying about McCarthy, and what they're saying is that he was so ambitious himself that he basically bargained away the power of the Speaker just so he could hold that gavel. And so they say basically you have this coming, McCarthy. There was several articles along those lines, like, Matt Gaetz is a terrible person, but McCarthy, you're no saint either. You did this to yourself. First of all, by bargaining away your protection against this kind of thing from happening. Second of all, by reneging on certain deals. Now, here's the irony. He said, wait a minute, politicians lied? I can't believe it. Let me clue you in on something that's really kind of odd for most people to get their heads around, but politicians lie to us all the time, and we know it. They make promises they don't keep. Many of them make promises they don't intend to keep. But within that body, if you lie to other members of Congress, you're toast. It's like honor among thieves kind of thing. If you say to another politician, another House member, another senator, yes, I will do this, or no, I won't do that, you better follow through on that. Because if you get the reputation of not following through on your word, it doesn't matter what he told the public, or she told the public, or what she promised, or what he promised to us, but it does matter what they promised internally. So if you say, okay, I'll vote for that bill if you consider mine over here, and you vote for that bill, subject yourself to possible criticism for it, and then you don't get your bill considered, there's no forgiveness. And this is what McCarthy was saying. If you vote for, help us with some of these things here, we'll consider some of your bills. And he was saying that to both parties. And quite often the vote would be cast. The politician would have to endure a little bit of criticism back home in the paper or, at the next town hall. And then the benefit of that deal will be denied to them. We're not going to be able to consider that bill. So sorry. And that's why McCarthy had that reputation, is that they're quite often on both Republicans and Democrats, he would make a deal with them and then break it after the fact. And that, I know it sounds odd to us because we think lying is a lie regardless, but lying to each other basically destroys your credibility with other members. And that's the problem McCarthy had with so many of the members, lack of credibility. Now, as far as, why did most Republicans line up to support him? Well, because they understood the consequences. McCarthy wasn't universally loathed by the Republicans. There were many of them that liked him well, but they also understood the consequences of that. All right? They understood what would happen if the speaker was removed. Not only what it would do for the Republican Party, which is maybe their primary concern, but also what happened to the country as a whole. Okay, and so you have this background of, and kind of sum it up, if you will, you have this background that McCarthy was set up to fail from day one, and he made that problem worse. And he could have remained a speaker if he had maintained a lot of his end of the bargains kind of thing. But, I could sum this whole up as like, this was inevitable. If you would put out that picture of Mr. Gates, there you go. This is what Matt Gaetz is all about. Being the center of attention, having the cameras and the reporters with the notebooks and the microphones trailing after him as he strides manfully through the Congress. That's what he's all about. Matt Gaetz doesn't give two hoots about representing his district nor representing the Republicans or anybody else but himself. He's one of the most universally egocentric characters in our Congress, and that says a lot. He's been there since 2016. He's not sponsored a piece of legislation yet. He doesn't even bother with constituent service back home yet, because the district he represents, Florida 1, which is in the Western Panhandle, is one of the most reddest Republican districts in the country. He doesn't have to worry about it. Nobody's going to primary him, so he'll run unopposed or have some token opponent. It won't matter. But he basically is all about getting on TV and having the reporters chase after him and having everybody take his quotes down and all this, get on Fox or Newsmax or wherever else he can get on to tout himself. He is the son of a big-time Florida politician. His dad was president of the Florida Senate and big-time state senator for many, many years. And so the Gaetz name was well known in that area of Florida and throughout Florida. And basically, he's known even by the representatives from Florida, the other Republicans, as a complete and total jackass. I mean, he's universally disliked. But he didn't care one iota because he's on TV. He's got this big mob of reporters trailing around. They're taking down every word I say. His ultimate goal right now is, or at least the next goal is, it's widely speculated that when the next state Republican or next state elections in Florida happen, which is 2026, that he's going to run for governor. And he's not even hiding that very well. He's going to run for governor of Florida, and then it's speculated he's going to be one of these guys that's going to spend most of his time, promoting himself and not his state, and run for president of the United States. I fully expect, I don't know if I'll be alive to see it because I'm getting old, but I fully expect 28 is, no, that'd probably be too soon. 2032, I would not be surprised to see Matt Gaetz throw his hat in the ring. He's only 43, so the age isn't going to be a factor. And I could see Matt Gaetz actually in about a decade from now putting together a committee and starting to run for president of the United States. And that would be a catastrophe. Because I think what we've seen him and his conduct in the U.S. House is indicative of how he's going to govern. And that's concerning to me. Let's go ahead and do the second round of sponsors while I'm thinking about it, because I don't, this is a good place to make a break for, and then I'll finish it with the rest of it. Thank you. We're at Southern Gym. They're open right now. Gayla, I hope you're doing well. I know that I saw her yesterday and we were visiting, and when I visit with the sponsors, I said, well, what should I be saying? What should I be talking about? And she says, if you got some jewelry that needs to be repaired or designed or fixed or whatever, do it now. Do it in October, because it's going to start filling up. And if you wait till like a week before Christmas, you're not going to get it back in time. And so you need to, if you're planning on giving it to your special person before or on Christmas Day, you need to get that kind of stuff done now. And they also have a great deal of inventory for you to make choices from. She'll be on the show in about a month, and she'll explain all this to us even better. But she's over in the Standard by American Revelry, so go check it out. Also, Old Pro Roofing. I bet that they'll be busy now, John. I bet you're busy because we had really good rain. Did you get any rain last night?
I was driving in it right when it hit.
Really? Well,
it was wild.
Well, they said it was about 2.8 inches in Burleson, but I don't know if I got that much.
In like 30 seconds.
Well, yeah. Well, it came down hard at our house, and then after the heavy stuff left, it's just rained for a while, and I fell asleep.
Dude, that wind was wild.
Yeah, but we needed the water, that's for sure. But you don't need the water in a leaky roof, and John will tell you about it. 817-734-2756. I did read there was some hail, but I don't know if we got it in Burleson. But they do a lot of roofing outside of Burleson. They do the whole DFW area, so it's not just here. I know that John has got a couple of jobs going on in Cleburne and a couple going on in Plano, so that's how far ranging they are. So give them a call at Old Pro Roofing if you want to have your roof looked at. If you suspect you might have had some damage last night. And if you also had damage, you know you had damage, then here's who you need to call. You needed, let's do Thrive first. I got it backwards. I'm so bad at this. Thrive is a social media program that'll, not just for, search engine optimization, but it's a complete business suite, and so to speak. It's got email. You can do your invoicing. You can do your accounts payable and receivable. You can, have contacts with customers that'll put your name out there, get your website, the whole thing. And Dee Dee Simpson we're trying to work out a time for her to be here. She's pretty busy, as you might expect. And a lot of us in BNI use it, and we all are very happy with it. And it helps. She'll help you train. So she's not like, here, I sold you the package. Now here's some websites or whatever to follow. No, she'll sit right beside you and say, here's what you need to be doing and how you need to create it. And so it's very, very helpful. So if you have a small business that you're trying to make a big business, it'd be a really good one to look at. Now we can talk about Lisa and Morris over at Stop Restoration. If you know you had damage, you saw the damage, give them a holler. You don't want to let it go too long. It's Stop Restoration. You get it right the first time. She's got us well trained. And if you know you have damage, you don't want to let it go because it's not going to get better on its own. And so if you had water damage, if you had fire damage, biohazards of various kinds, if you had a shower leak and it's causing problems with your drywall behind the tile and things like that, they're the people to talk to. You think you have a mold problem? They'll tell you if you have a mold problem. They're certified mold specialists. And also Candy Gal over at U Mortgage. She'll be on the show on the 24th, and her number 817-925-2661. If you're going to be refinancing, if you're going to be buying a new house, you need to talk to her. Now, the rates, as you've been reading, are stuck at a 20-year high. And I saw her yesterday also at the BNI meeting, and she gives us good advice about what to look for and what to keep an eye out for, and what her advice is to people who are buying a house. So give her a holler if you're in the midst of buying a house and you need mortgage work. I've done a business with her twice in my lifetime, my house's lifetime, so to speak, and it's good service and smart and efficient, and she's just a nice person, doggone her. 817-925-2661. Also, one more thing. I'd like to remind y'all that this Saturday is the Brew Fest. Starts at 2 if you have the VIP package. It starts at 3, goes until about 9. It's $15, $25, and $50 tickets. I had Brooke and Sarah on the show Tuesday, and so the YouTube and Facebook's out, probably the Apple and Spotify is out, to talk about the Brewfest, and they got all these different sponsors and all these different samples that you can take. You know, you buy different types of packages and whatnot. They still could use a couple more volunteers, I think. But as far as the Brewfest, it's really, really expanded. This is the third year, and it's just growing every year. And it's going to be a lot of fun. And they have live music, and they're going to have food trucks and whatnot. So give it a shot. You'll probably enjoy it. Is that a pun? Give it a shot? Oh, well, anyway. You get it? Okay, there you go. I just wonder if he's paying attention. Anyway.
Not paying attention.
Yeah, all right, anyway. So what is the result of all this? First of all, let's do the NBC News clip, and then we'll dive into that.
We're coming on the air with breaking news and a major shift in power on Capitol Hill. The House just voted to remove Speaker Kevin McCarthy from his post in a high-stakes vote just now on the House floor. It comes after McCarthy, the top Republican, cut a deal with Democrats to avert a government shutdown over the weekend that angered some in his own party whose demands were dropped in the negotiations. It happened because one of those Republicans, Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz, introduced the resolution to remove McCarthy just last night. And it's the first time this process has ever successfully removed a House Speaker in American history. Let's go right now to senior Capitol Hill correspondent Garrett Haig. Garrett, what happens now?
Well, Lester, a speakership that began in historic fashion less than a year ago now ends in historic fashion, with Kevin McCarthy the first speaker to ever be removed from that position by a vote on the floor. What we'll see in the immediate term is the naming of a speaker pro tem, a temporary speaker, a caretaker speaker who will lead the House through the next election to replace Kevin McCarthy and select someone else to be second in line for the presidency. This could be a contentious process as well. The speaker lost 8 Republican votes, along with every Democrat voting to vacate the chair. Who could succeed him in this climate right now? Very much an open question. The House will be largely paralyzed until that question can be answered, Lester.
Is there a timeline for them to get this done?
Lester, we are in uncharted territory. It's cliche to say, but we have never been in this position before in the United States Congress. The House will move quickly. This Speaker pro tem idea is actually a new post 9/11 change to ensure continuity of government. So we are very much in uncharted territory, but it is every indication that the House, Republicans still control it, will want to move quickly to name someone as their leader so they can continue the business of governing. Remember, they only have some 40-odd days to fund the government on a longer-term basis after that deal from over the weekend.
Thanks for watching. Okay. Stay up.
Well, when he says 40-odd days, no doubt they will be odd. The interim speaker is Patrick McHenry from North Carolina, and McHenry's made it pretty clear he has no interest in being the speaker. So who are the candidates possibly for speakership? Tell, if you would, that Scalise and Jordan picture. There you go. On the left is Steve Scalise of Louisiana, who is the majority leader and is probably, in my opinion, the odds-on favorite to be the next speaker. The guy on the right is Jim Jordan of Ohio. He is well-known arch conservative. He's the leader of the one of the main Biden impeachment inquiries going on, and he's known to be a hard right type of guy. Whereas Scalise is certainly conservative. There's no question about it. But he's also probably, I think, the best suited to be the speaker and has the best chance of being the speaker. Now, it's interesting about Scalise personally. You may remember this about 5 years ago. The Republican softball team was practicing, and a guy came out and started shooting, and he shot Scalise in the hip. And it had a lot of these major complications, and he nearly died from it. But he recovered. Now he's also in the midst of cancer treatment. Now, his doctor, his wife, his colleagues all say he's more than fit to be Speaker of the House. We'll see. Would he be a good speaker? Would he be allowed to be a good speaker? Is going to be the bigger question. You know, is Mr. Gaetz going to allow him to be a good speaker? Is this 8 person bloc going to continually do this every time they don't get their way is another question. Now, as far as who voted those 8, none of them are Texans. I'm surprised because there's a couple of Texans representatives making a lot of noise, but they all that were there, 2 of them were absent for some reason. But the other 23 all voted in favor of keeping Mr. McCarthy. When will this take place? It won't be this week because you know what happened? The day after this, or Tuesday evening, they can adjourn the Congress until next Tuesday. It took a week off. So here we are in this situation with an interim speaker, chaos in the House, and they still got on that plane and flew back home. And I'm astounded. Okay, we are going to go through what the reporter mentioned about. We have 40-something days until this next continuing resolution fails or is extended or whatever else. We still got the threat of a government shutdown. Yet, by God, we're still going to take our vacation or take our time back home. I don't even know what to say about that. It's like here you are in really in a very serious political and constitutional situation that we've never faced before, and he's still going to, hit the road. This is why I have such contempt for Congress. It doesn't seem to bother them that we as a people don't have a stable government, and they just could go about their business. And then they come back here and tell us how they're fighting the good fight and all this other rot, and then they go back to D.C. and act like a bunch of circus clowns. I am really getting to be at the point where I just can't even express my contempt for Congress without using pejoratives that are not good for a family-friendly show. It's just we expect them to be adults and take care of business and go work overtime maybe, or maybe forego that week off, or and when they have all these vacations, it's. When we talk about Memorial Day weekend, we talk about it taking Monday off. They take 2 weeks, and they'll give you this business. Well, I'm dealing with constituent service and all this other stuff. Constituent service is great, but the number one priority is to manage the business and affairs of this country, and neither side seem to be taking it seriously. I mean, they all think it's serious, but their actions belie that. And we got clowns like Matt Gaetz basically running rampant. And you might think, what is Gaetz? The response been to Gaetz? It's been interesting because most Republicans in the things I read were just excoriating him in language that is not usual to see in print. I mean, they were very frank in their distaste and scorn for Matt Gaetz. But so are some of the pundits that surprised me. Mark Levin surprised me. He also excoriated Gaetz on Levin's show and on his radio show. He made it pretty clear what he thought of Matt Gaetz in this whole attempt to topple the speaker. And if you ever listen to Levin, and I rarely do, but he's no partisan McCarthy fan by any means. Also last night, and in the Washington Post, Newt Gingrich called for when I say last night, he was on Fox News. Last night on Fox News and in the Washington Post, Newt Gingrich called for Matt Gaetz to be expelled from Congress, which they can do. When Newt Gingrich, who led the rebellion against Jim Wright about 35 years ago, says this man needs to be expelled because he's dangerous to the institution and to the country, he got on Hannity's show and said, all this stuff. Even as far as the Fox guys, from what I can tell, it's about half and half. And normally they're on the side of the insurgents and all this other stuff, but not so much with this. But Gaetz has been universally scorned by his own party and by the media, and he deserves every bit of it. Also, we should look at why the Democrats didn't help him. I mentioned that earlier. I think the Democrats are going to regret it in some ways because they could have shown leadership in this situation, said, we need to have a speaker. We can't let people like Matt Gaetz dictate the terms. And so you would have liked to think at least 15 or 20 Democrats had put aside party partisanship and supported Mr. McCarthy. They don't have to like him. They don't have to be in the same party, but they could have said, the country comes first. But no, every Democrat, every single one of them voted to expel him. And That's not good for them. That's not good. That's not a good look for them. They should have allowed several of their members to vote to keep McCarthy, because it would have been great for them to say we put our country before our party. But they didn't do it any more than the crazy eight that voted him out. So the Democrats don't get away from this unscathed either, because they could have shown leadership and they didn't. So let's sum this up: winners and losers. Well, the winners obviously are Matt Gaetz, and because now he's going to be the de facto speaker in a sense. As long as it only takes one person to bring up a motion to vacate, he's going to wield that thing every time he doesn't get pudding with his lunch. And he's probably set himself really well for being the next governor of Florida. Because, what do the people back home think? Well, in his district, some of them are, quote, concerned, but he had a lot of support for what he was doing back home in his home district. And Florida's becoming a pre-red state. And so I'm sure Gaetz will be the nominee and next time the governor position's open. And so I think he knows that he's going to be a player in Republican Party politics for the next decade or more. Now, he's being investigated for several different offenses. He was accused, and not convicted and not successfully proven, but he was accused of being involved with, women and, online stuff and blah, blah, blah. But I'm not going to say he was accused of that, but he's also being investigated for taking bribes and in return for donations and such as that, or doing, using donations as a means of getting favors and all that. And I don't see anything happen with that. But Gaetz is almost his entire career. His name has been in front of the House Ethics Committee when both parties are running it, But it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. He's going to probably be the next governor of Florida, and from like I said earlier, so he's a big winner. Another big winner is Donald Trump. Trump's going around saying, "Oh, I'm getting lots of people calling me to be the next Speaker of the House," which he can be. I mean, there's no constitutional edict that says that the Speaker must be from the House of Representatives. You can have anybody outside of it. And there, every now and then, you hear conversation about bringing back some old, wizened sage to come and be the Speaker. But I don't. Who knows with Trump? If he says, "Oh, I got lots of people calling," it could be 3. I do know that there is a Texas Congressman, Troy Nehls, down near Houston, who's going to propose, going to nominate Trump to be Speaker of the House when they start having the elections, when they get back. And Marjorie Taylor Greene said she's going to second that nomination. So you'll see a vote with his name in it. Now, how many votes he gets, who knows? But the big reason why he's the big winner is because now he's going to be able to portray himself as the unifier of the Republican Party. He's going to save the Republican Party and save the Republic. They're all going to band together behind him, and they're going to, march on to greater glory or something like that. But basically, that Trump is a big winner out of all this, because the more chaotic the Republican Party seems, the more likely people will be turning to somebody that has his level of support within the party to unify it. Now, I've talked about the Republican primaries about a month ago, and it's probably too soon to revisit that in a full show. But right now, it's even less likely that Trump will not be the nominee, because the only person that's even making any headway at all is Nikki Haley. And so it's even more possible. The Republicans are thinking about not even having any more debates, because they say, what's the point? Another winner would probably be the Democrats in 2024, which is probably why they acted the way they did, because they're going to be able to portray the Republican Party as in chaos and incompetent and whatever else. P.J. O'Rourke, the late humorist, one of my favorite authors, said, the Republican Party is a party that says government can't work, and then they get elected to prove it. And that's what they're going to be portraying the Republicans as. The losers were obviously McCarthy, being the only man in our history to ever be removed as Speaker. He didn't lose his seat. I had a couple of people say, well, who's going to replace him in his Congress seat? Nobody. He's still going to be the member of Congress from California. But obviously, whatever ambitions he had, historical, legacy, whatever, are gone. And it's just unfortunate. Some people say it's the, just reward of the way he's conducted himself. But But still, McCarthy's going to be the big loser. Also, the Republicans in 24, like I mentioned, they're going to have to try to persuade the American people that they really can govern and that they're not held at bay or held at ransom by the dictates of Matt Gaetz. And every politician, every Democrat politician is going to have Matt Gaetz's picture in their ads next year. You know, when you have a Democrat running for office, they're going to have him in there and this spectacle. So the Republicans, I haven't seen enough information to see what their prospects are for next year yet, but they took a big hit this week. As far as the Americans themselves, our reputation abroad is taking a hit because we are seen by most countries as really the rock of stability for our democracies and democratic republics. And when they see this go on, it not only shakes their faith in us, but it also gives credence and ammunition to those who don't like us, who don't want to pursue our type of government, who don't like us, period. You know, the Iranian press is making a big deal out of this, about the chaos in the American government. And we're just giving them the material. You know, and so we look at some of these European countries or these Asian countries and think, what's the problem with them? Why can't they get their act together? Well, they're saying the same thing about us. And lastly, the American people themselves are disturbed by all this. They are very much hurt by this. It isn't just the discontinuation of government services. That's possible. But it shakes our confidence. Our government has probably the lowest level of confidence we've had in it in my lifetime. Even after Watergate, even after Vietnam. Why? Well, they see the chaos at the southern border. They see inflation every time they go to the grocery store. They see this crap going on in Congress. They see Joe Biden, who can't get through a speech without reading it word for word off a written page, as opposed to being able to speak extemporaneously, and who's showing obvious signs of age. They see crime in many of the major cities going off the charts. They see our schools in disarray in certain areas of the country. Not here in Texas as much, but, you know, you look at Chicago, New York, Philadelphia, it's just a joke. And they see all these things, and they see this going on. It shakes our confidence. And so that's the real impact of all of this. What we're seeing in the American government isn't just this circus, this kabuki theater going on up in D.C., but we're seeing them not do the basic jobs of what we elect the government for. And that's why American confidence in the government is as low as it's ever been in my lifetime. And so, yeah, I'm concerned. Maybe that's just the prerogative of an old man, but I am concerned because I do believe that it's not just going to get better all by itself. And we may be heading for some very difficult times. And we won't have the government in place to make that better. So buckle up, guys. I'm not one of these doomsday preppers. I'm not into all that business, but I'm just saying, be prepared. All right, now to what's going on next week? Okay, Monday we're going to be taking the day off. You're going to be out of town, aren't you, Taylor?
I will be out of town.
Yeah, so we're going to be recording a show tomorrow with the folks from Reach Across Johnson County, because a week from this weekend, the 13th and 14th, they have their RISE seminar. And so Erica Vyers and probably a couple of her cohorts, a couple of her colleagues are going to come in. We're going to record the show tomorrow. And then next Thursday, I have an open date. I'm negotiating, shall we say, with somebody who wants to get on the show, but we're trying to see if we can make the time work. And if not, then I'm sure these boys and girls in Congress will give me more to complain about.
Yeah.
Well, it's a gift that keeps on giving. So, well, anyway, thanks for listening to the Old Man Rant, and hope y'all take care of yourself, and we'll see y'all next week.